David.
I remember when Rachel and I first moved in here. We had such high hopes, grand illusions.
You don't remember my line, do you?
I didn't.
Sunday on Knight Rider, deadly diamonds spark high-flying adventure when Michael goes undercover.
Someone has to do it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Knight Rider, Sunday.
Production 57833. Diamonds Aren't a Girl's Best Friend. Written by Robert Foster and Robert Gilmer. Directed by Jeffrey Hayden. This episode originally aired on NBC Sunday night 8 p.m. on January 15th, 1984. It was filmed from November 17th through the 28th of 1983. It was the 34th episode to air, but the 35th to be produced. The synopsis reads as follows. After a young model was found dead in her apartment, Michael turns his suspicions towards the head of a modeling agency. So with that, let's dig in. We open at Bernie Mitchell's mansion, and in reality, this mansion was in Pasadena on San Rafael Avenue, I believe. And unfortunately, a lot of people thought this was the manor used in the 1960s Batman series, but actually it was not. That was down the street. But unfortunately, this house was gutted by a fire in 2005. It did about $15 million worth of damage, unfortunately. So it no longer exists, at least as you see it now. I believe it's been rebuilt, but I don't think it's been rebuilt identically. So unfortunately, another filming location that is no longer there. So then we move over to the models at in front of this train doing a photo shoot. This is actually in Griffith Park. This is called Travel Town. It's open to the public. Anyone can go visit it. And I actually had the opportunity to go here in 2018. So I thought, I wonder if I can find any of these trains. Surely they're still there. This one, I thought, well, it'd be pretty easy to find. 664, right? And you see some of the unique marks with the bracketry here and whatnot. So when I went in 2018, I did happen to find engine 664. So let's take a look at it. And here it is today, we'll say. Actually 3 years ago, but still looks the same. So you can see it's received a little bit of a paint job, but other than that, it's the same. Let's see if we can look at both of them together here. Maybe. Zoom out. Make this small. Bear with me. Let's see here. Hopefully this is interesting to you. There we go. So, yeah, you can see it's very similar. They added a light at the top, and but other than that, it looks to be pretty much the same. So how cool is that? Go to Travel Town next time you're in the Los Angeles area, and, you can reenact this scene. Although you can't climb on it, so whatever. And then, of course, we have Michael walking through one of the passenger cars, still at Travel Town, obviously. And I did my best at the time to try and find this train. This isn't it. It's close, but I don't think, in looking back through my photos, I'm not sure I captured. Actually, it might be this one. It could be this one. It's so hard to tell. There's the windows. Well, this one doesn't have this trim across the top here, so that's probably not it. But I'm sure it was there somewhere. There were so many trains, so I'm sure I missed it. Anyways, go to Travel Town. Okay, so one more. So this train, this car in the background, I think I did see. So you'll notice it has these double wooden doors here, a lot of squared windows. So here's this one today. So you can see the wooden doors Looks like it's been patched, and you can see all the windows here. The same, looks like it's the original paint job from back then too. Just very, very faded. So, all right, enough of that. Other thing I wanted to point out here is this is the debut of Michael's new leather jacket, and a lot of people don't realize that he got a different leather jacket midway through season 2. So if you watch episodes filmed prior to Diamonds Aren't a Girl's Best Friend, you'll see his jacket is of a different design. It doesn't have this, I don't know what you call this design detail here with this, and there's a few other things that are different. So this is the premiere of this jacket, which he would wear throughout the rest of the series. And there's replica jackets out there. They're all based on this version, not the version from earlier episodes. So there you go. We see Michael and Lauren headed into her apartment complex, and we'll see a better view of this building later. But this is actually the Universal Park and Terrace complex on Bluffside Drive, literally across the street from the North Gate at Universal Studios Hollywood. Unfortunately, these are no longer there, but we do see this building again in Kidnap as Karen's apartment complex, and I believe this is the same building used in the introduction, in the intro of Charles in Charge. And of course, over here we have Renee Asa, who here plays a character named Miller, but he'll return again in Night by a Nose. And it's hard to say, but I think this red car right here might be our Camaro that was making frequent appearances early in season 2. I think that's it right here. And for those of you who like then and now shots, here's Kit coming around a corner, Verdugo Avenue in Bel Air. Take a look at this house in the background with its peak in the middle, archway here. Let's take a look now. And there it is, still standing after all these years. Obviously, a lot of the brush is gone, but this is the same intersection today. So I have a funny story about this particular scene. So as you know, for those of you familiar with this episode, coming up very shortly is this wonderful turbo boost through an intersection over a semi-truck and whatnot. It's one of my favorite jumps of the series. And for the longest time, I mean, this was a decade ago, I couldn't figure out where that was filmed. So I knew that this scene, which is we saw right before the turbo boost, I knew this was in the same area. So I'm like, how can I figure this out? I couldn't find this either. So then I noticed in the background of this building, now it's a little blurry here, but you can see before Kit comes around the corner what this building, what the name on here was. And it said Bischoff's Taxidermy. So then, of course, I started Googling it, and I found a Bischoff's Taxidermy in the Burbank area, which is, typical for filming of this show. And I looked at their address, and it was not anything like this. So I thought, well, has the whole area been redeveloped? So then I decided to email this taxidermy place with the screenshot and be like, is this the same location? And they said, so they got back to me after a couple of days, and they said, wow, thanks for messaging us. This is a blast from the past. We didn't even know that Knight Rider filmed filmed our building back in the day. And they confirmed that their building was at the intersection of East Santa Anita Avenue and South San Fernando Boulevard in Burbank. So whenever you look at that, and this building is so unique with the steps on the side. So when you look at it today, that building is still there today. There it is. So from there, we were able to find the turbo boost through the intersection, which we will get to in a minute. And before we do, let's just look here. Let's see here's that taxidermist. So you can see taxidermist right there. But let's see if any of these other buildings are still there while we're in the area. So clearly, that's still the same building. There's that unique roof line. See it right there? And obviously this, was that a Hilton? Is new. Is this the same? Hard to say. Hard to say if that building is still there. But all these buildings are gone. So then we have point of view shot of Kit coming through the intersection about to jump. This GMC Astro here is one of Universal Studios' transportation fleet vehicles. Again, the Astros you can see throughout the entire series. So then we see this jump, and see, this is how we were able to tie it all together, because see the roof line here? This is that same building we saw right beside the taxidermist. So, knowing that, we should be able to head down this way, and this is the intersection right here. Verdugo and South San Fernando Boulevard. So is the building still there? No. It is unfortunately not. It is a Hilton Garden Inn. So let's move ahead here. The Burbank Faith Center, is now this Hilton Garden Inn. But this is where that turbo boost happened. Right here, South San Fernando Boulevard and Verdugo Avenue. Right through there. Completely redeveloped. And this was fairly recently too. Although interesting to note, they seem to keep the theme. This was a rounded building here, and maybe they were honoring the Burbank Faith Center that was there, but unfortunately that is all gone today. But the taxidermy's still there, and then this other building is still there, so I suppose that's better than nothing. And of course, while we're talking about this is the roll-caged acrylic windowed jump car. And for those of you curious, in this episode, they used 5 cars. We have the hero car, the insert car, the roll-caged acrylic window jump car you see here. We have the hardtop stunt car, and the left-hand blind drive car. And so we get this great point of view shot through the intersection. We can see, once again, the bolts going through the hubcaps to hold them on. And we can see, if we look up here, this car is missing the trim piece on the rear quarter. So let's take a look. Are any of these buildings still there? No. That's now a apartment complex. See, those are all gone, all redeveloped. So we see the car land, and you can see some wrinkles in the hood, and there's a hard landing. But I think one of the reasons I like this jump so much is because you see the landing. And look at this, you can see how the fender doesn't match up with the door anymore. Anyways. And what's cool is they continue, after the car has landed, they continue to show you this point of view shot. And you can really see the stud here with the nut holding the hubcap on. All right, so now we move forward, and we've still got Miller trying to escape. We've got this great Ford truck. You can see it was originally red, but it kind of swerves to avoid hitting this car, loses some of its boxes. And you look again here in a second when KITT passes, and the truck is completely free of all boxes. So if we go back here, it's got a ton of boxes. This one falls out, and then they all disappear. Anyways, there you go. And actually, is this the same filming location? Yeah, it is. Same filming location, just missing boxes. All right, so I got to point this out, because this is kind of one of the more hokey things that we see throughout the series. Apparently, KITT has the ability to move inanimate objects. You know, it's one thing if he can, I don't know, if he can turn lights on, right? He could tap into the electrical and whatever. Although technically, if you think about it, how's he going to bypass a mechanical switch to turn a light on, which we also see in this scene? But this is just hokey, right? We see this porcelain horse devil thing sitting on a table, and KITT somehow magically is able to move it and makes the people think that the building is haunted. So whatever. This was pretty chintzy, pretty hokey. Didn't like it, but let's move on. Yeah, and here's what I was saying. He was turning lights on and off, even though it's a mechanical switch, which I don't think would be possible. So check this out. You guys are going to like this one. Talk about an Easter egg. So we have Devin pulling up information on the computer to brief Michael about Bernie Mitchell and whatnot. But the information that Devin pulls up on this screen is information about Frank Poole from Nightmares. Now, this scene was not filmed for Nightmares. It was filmed for Diamonds Aren't a Girl's Best Friend. But they apparently needed something on this screen, and they took the footage, they took the text that they used for the filming of Nightmares. So if we look at this, if we come over here, you can see, even without being able to necessarily read this, you can see how everything lines up. But if you look, you can see Franklin Pool, Franklin X Pool or something like that. See Franklin R Pool right there. And you can see Social Security number, date of birth, arrests, armed robbery, Seattle, Washington. So this is a really cool Easter egg. Apparently, maybe the computer hadn't been used since Devin was looking up information on Frank Poole in Nightmares. Actually, I think it's April looking it up. But yeah, there it is. In Diamonds on a Girl's Best Friend, information on Frank Poole. All right. So here we see again, here's a better look at those Universal Park apartments, which again, unfortunately are no longer there. This Lincoln, by the way, has the same license plate. It's 9Y58311. There's no California written across the top. It's a completely prop plate, but the plate used on this Lincoln would reappear on Michael's Jeep in Lost Night, and we actually own the plates that were on this car and on, obviously, Michael's Jeep. So they're in our collection. We did a video on our license plates on this channel a while back if you want to check it out.
Get me the senior officer in customs. Devin?
So now we're back at Bernie's house, and even though this looks like a model Lincoln, it's actually not. This is the real filming location. But this is again the entrance to Bernie's mansion, which burned in 2005. But this building is still there. This is down by the road. The mansion is up the hill a ways. But if you look at it today, you can see that's all still intact. So they rebuilt the mansion, but fortunately, all of this has survived. So then we get this close-up shot after Kit has manipulated Bernie Mitchell's bank accounts. And take a look at this. His character's name is Bernie Mitchell, Mitchell. But on this insert, it says Mr. Michaels, Michels. And the reason for that is early drafts of the script lists his name, if you look right here, as the Michaels Agency and Bernie Michaels. But what happened was later, as the script was revised, you can see here's a later revision from the 23rd, and it's now Bernie Mitchell here. However, there were still references to the Michaels Agency. So my guess is whoever had to do the inserts for this probably saw it was still listed as Michaels, and that's what they put here. So that's why you see Michaels instead of Mitchell. It's an early script. That was going to be his name before they changed it. So then Bernie tries to escape. Michael's hot on his trail. Do you ever notice this cinder block here? And why do you think it's here? Because if you'll notice in a few seconds, Michael's going to jump over the roof of Kit to get in. And this is how he's going to do that. He's going to step up onto this block and then push himself over the roof of the car. So you can see here, he slid over. This is, and I'm not sure why they used it here, but this is actually the left-hand blind drive car. And if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that it has this half dash in here, just a shell of a dash. And we have this round steering wheel, the round stunt wheel, and it's telescopic. So it sits further out than your stock Trans Am steering wheel, which would be like back here. And the reason it sits out is so that the person can sit behind the seat and steer the car. Now, they took out the left-hand blind drive seat for this scene. So my guess is they probably needed a stunt car, and this was the one that was available at the time, so that's the one they used. But watch, you can't really see it in screenshots, but you have to watch in the video. When Michael gets in the car and shifts the gear, you'll notice he puts his hand way up here. Now the gear shifter, here's the console. The shifter would be down here, but he actually shifts from up here, and that's because they actually have a really tall ratchet-like shifter in this particular car. Again, used so the people sitting behind the seat could reach it and switch the gears very easily. So left-hand blind drive car without the left-hand blind drive seat and without the need to left-hand blind drive, but it's being used in this scene. So we have Michael backing up. This is now the hardtop stunt car. You can tell here. They have the fake T-top strips, but we see it's got this dumping of oil here, and we can also see the tab that was welded in for custom kit when they had the side pipes on them. So this is the hardtop stunt car. Yeah, there's a close-up here. Look how nice and clean and new that stock exhaust looks. And Take a look here. You can see the orange peel in the paint from all the paint jobs this car's already had. And then, obviously, miniature work here of the Lincoln going into a pond. There we go. And for some reason, they determined that the dummy that was in this miniature Lincoln needed a helmet. So there you go. All right, and finally we're back at the at Lauren's apartment, and we've got this moving truck, Monzo and Sons Movers. This Monzo is an Easter egg reference to Tony Monzo, who was the head of transportation at Universal at the time Knight Rider was being filmed. So Monzo and Sons, there you go. And we have Michael having his last interaction with Mabel, the dog lady. He gets into KITT. And take a look at this. This is the hero car. But I wanted to show you something kind of neat. The glove box door is ajar. And you can see these two little tabs in here. Do you ever wonder what those tabs are? Probably not, because you probably never noticed that it was open because you watch the show for an enjoyment and not for the minutia that we point out. But that's why we're here. Anyways, what this is, this actually holds stock gauges for the coolant, battery, and oil pressure for the car, because we have the Knight Rider dash in here, so you can't see the actual gauges underneath here. So they moved them to the center console. This original car still has these gauges along with one of our originals as well. And that wraps up Diamonds Aren't a Girl's Best Friend. Join us next time as we street race and rob some jewelry stores, but only when Crumbling Down is being played, with our analysis of White Line Warriors. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peake himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. Look at you guys scrolling up the screen to my right. Wait a minute, how can you tell which side is my right, since you can't see me because I'm not on camera? Oh well, you know what I mean. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.